Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 deodorants and the best deodorant to wear when you're also wearing fragrance, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Really do appreciate it. So there's a lot of different deodorants to try, and I've actually tried some of the really, I guess, higher end designer ones as opposed to some of the cheaper ones, which, you know, they can actually be good. Some of the cheaper brands do have some great deodorant, but today I'm going to be talking about the designer deodorants and what is actually, in my opinion, the best deodorant to wear that I wear every day, regardless of anything. So I don't have all of them with me, but I will start at some of the ones that I've had. So the bottom of the list is going to be Bleu de Chanel. It is a little bit expensive for what it is, so this is also why it's pretty low on the list. I do like the smell, and if you like Bleu de Chanel, it definitely has that DNA. But what it is a lot more citrus heavy, so I think it's definitely more like the EDT than anything else. It's got a very nice pop with that grapefruit vibe that it does have, which is really appealing. And it actually performs okay. So the longevity is the area where I think it's the biggest problem. I really only get about 4 or 5 hours with it, and with deodorant, I really want something that's going to last me throughout the whole workday. And that's sort of the big thing for me. But the projection is quite impressive. So it projects really far. This thing will jump off my skin, you know, a couple meters easily. You can smell it from across the room if I've just applied it. So it does have really nice projection. So that is the thing to note, though. It is something that if you're wearing another fragrance, it is potentially going to interfere. If you don't mind that grapefruit vibe being added to your fragrance, whatever you're wearing, then it's actually not a bad choice. Now, number 4 is one that I do have with me, actually, and it is the One deodorant. Now, this one is good, but I do find it a little bit weird. So the weird thing about this one is that I think the way the tobacco is in this one, so I do get a little bit of tobacco. It does come off a little bit weird, and the couple times I wore this one, I found it a little weird. Now, the citrus elements are a lot stronger on this one, so it does actually have quite a strong citrusy vibe, but it does actually smell pleasant, very nice once you become accustomed to the fact that it doesn't smell like the EDP. So it does smell a lot different. It's fresher. And like I said, the tobacco in this doesn't come off quite as beautiful as the EDP, although it is still very, very nice. And I do find it quite enjoyable. I think it's one that isn't quite as overwhelming or doesn't project quite as strongly as the Bleu de Chanel, so it does make it a little easier to wear it with different fragrances without really interfering too much or causing problems. Now, again, another problem with this one is the longevity. So again, with deodorant especially, I really want something that's going to last through an entire work day. So this one is 4th on the list. Does smell good, and it does perform longevity-wise a little bit better than the Bleu de Chanel. And I do think I like it a little bit more. Instead of just being a very citrus-heavy grapefruit, it does have a really nice tobacco element, a nice dimension that adds a little bit of character, a little bit of thickness to this one. So I do think this is a good one as well. The next one is one that I actually recently finished, and that is Spicebomb deodorant. Now, the Spicebomb deodorant, it does smell like it is, if you look at the bottle, it does look a lot more like the original Spicebomb, not the Extreme. And to me, it smells most similar to the Spicebomb original. Although ultimately, I find it a lot less connected to Spicebomb, the fragrances. I don't find it particularly spicy. It does have a lot of those overall qualities that Spicebomb has without being like the Extreme in the sense that there's a lot of vanilla, a lot of sweetness. There isn't a lot of sweetness, and it does have quite an enjoyable smell to it as well, but it also isn't very spicy. So I also think this about the original, maybe not the original release, but the original as it's formulated now, isn't that spicy of a fragrance. So Spicebomb is a bit of a misleading name, but I still love it. I still love the fragrance, but I don't consider it to be particularly spicy. And so that particular deodorant also works really, really well. I do enjoy it. Performance, again, I mean, this is the biggest problem I find with a lot of these deodorants is they just don't last that long. It is within that 4 to 6 hour range. So it is not a really long lasting deodorant, which again is something crucial for me. But the smell is by far the best of the ones I've talked about so far. So it smells better than the other two in my personal opinion. It does smell similar, like I said, to the original Spicebomb, but it does smell a little bit different. It's not quite as sweet. So I find even the original Spicebomb is more of a sweet fragrance than a spicy fragrance. It's not and the Extreme is very spicy on the opening, but also becomes quite sweet. So this is somewhere in between that. It has the same degree maybe of spiciness as the original, which is not particularly spicy, but it's not nearly as sweet either. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the Coca-Cola gummy vibe that I sometimes get with Spicebomb, but it does smell very pleasant, very relaxing, and it does, it's not overwhelming either. So again, the Bleu de Chanel is extremely strong, but the Spicebomb one, it's not as strong, but it does last a little bit better. So next on the list is one that I actually just recently picked up, and I'm actually quite happy with this one. It's funny because I don't really, or haven't, maybe my taste has changed a little bit. I'm not a big fan of this line, but I did decide to buy the deodorant, and this is the Terre de Hermés deodorant. And actually, I really, really like this one. So in some ways, it reminds me maybe a little bit more of Eau de Très Fresh, which I've always liked. Eau de Très Fresh is definitely the one from the line that I like the most. And it reminds me of that because there is a lot of that tart orange vibe with the vetiver in the background, which is exactly what I get for the most part with Eau de Très Fresh. It's very citrusy. With a little bit of vetiver in the background. Now, it has an aquatic kind of opening. This one doesn't. But this one is very masculine and very appealing to smell. And I do love that sort of zesty tart orange that it has going on. It doesn't smell sort of like some people describe Terre de Hermès as having like a dirty orange vibe. It definitely doesn't have a dirty orange vibe. It has that tart vibe that I definitely get from the Eau de Très Fresh. Really like this one. It's very masculine. Vetiver is still there, so it is not too earthy or too dark or anything like that, but there is definitely vetiver in this fragrance that I pick up. And I find this is the thing, though, I will say about all the deodorants. The citrus elements all seem to be amped up a lot. So in all the deodorants I've had, all of the citrus elements always end up being a lot stronger than they are in the actual fragrance. And for me, this one's great because it is quite masculine as well. Comes across like a very nice gentlemanly smell. Now, I've heard some people say this one lasts all day. For me, it does not. It is over that 4-hour mark, which the other ones have. But it does get it does get closer to that 8 hours. And it does have some decent projection. It is something which I'll actually catch sillage, and that's kind of crazy to think about when it's under your arm, that I will catch sillage of this one as I move around. If I'm moving my arms, I definitely do catch some sillage, but it is also a fairly subtle smell, so it's not really in your face, really punchy like the Bleu de Chanel is quite punchy in your face with the citrus. This one is a little bit more laid back altogether, which does make it a little bit more gentlemanly, but also I think that it doesn't interfere with any other fragrances too much. And most of what you'll get, if it does mix with what you're wearing, is a bit of a tart orange and vetiver, which some fragrances that's not going to work very well, obviously, but with a lot of them, I think that a slight hint of that in the scent cloud that you have isn't going to be too bad at all. So up to the top one, up to the best one, and this is the one that I actually wear every day, no matter what. And that is actually Crystal. So there's a lot of good things about this. The biggest thing about this one is that other deodorants, they all mask any odor that you have. This one actually eliminates it. So it has that going for it. What this does is it actually eliminates the bacteria that forms when you have or when you sweat. So sweat itself is not actually an unappealing smell if it's fresh, but once it dries or whatever the case is, bacteria can start to grow, and that is what makes the smell. So what this does is it kind of stops that bacteria from growing in the first place. Now, there are a few things to know about this. Well, first, I'll give you the positives. One, this is very cheap. So this is, I think, $6 or $7, and it lasts like an entire year. So that's really, really nice about it. And it has no scent whatsoever, so it's not going to interfere at all with whatever you're wearing. If you wear another deodorant, if you wear a body spray, or if you wear a fragrance that day, this is not going to interfere at all. So it is good for that, and like I mentioned, it helps to actually eliminate the smell instead of just cover it up. So I really, really like that, because I find that even with extensive scrubbing and showering, etc., there's always a little bit left over. This does help get rid of that, so I do like that. Some of the drawbacks, you pretty much have to use this every day. If you don't use it for a day, you can start to get a little bit of the underarm odor coming back. But it does tend to last a really long time, so it definitely gets me through a day where it doesn't have that odor to it, or an odor doesn't start to form. It does sometimes take a couple days to actually really start to work. So I remember thinking it didn't work at first. I stuck with it for 2-3 days, and then it was like, okay, this is actually working. But like I said, you really do have to use it every single day. And that's kind of the drawback. But like I said, one of these sticks, you buy it for like $6, will last you like a whole year. And it's great because it doesn't interfere with your fragrance, and it actually eliminates odor. So like that, I like that one a lot. Anyways, that's it, guys. Those are my top deodorant picks. Are there any body sprays or deodorants that you really enjoy wearing? Let me know in a comment down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.